Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I'm Daggett and this is phase 2 of drawing koi fish. Today we're going to be covering background and background elements. So in last week's video we covered the construction of the koi fish itself, our main subject matter of this piece of artwork. In this week's video we're going to be covering how to draw the waves and the background elements. And you guys already should know how to draw finger waves if you've watched my finger waves tutorial, which is a couple of videos back. But it's really how to combine them, how to combine all of the background elements. So I'm going to be using stuff that you guys are familiar with, finger waves and a lotus flower, and we're going to try and put a background together before we start to finalize this artwork. So let's go ahead and jump to the table and the overhead. Okay guys, welcome back to the table, and today we're going to be doing the background and background elements sketch for our koi fish design. So part 1 did really well. I decided to turn this into a series, so we're going to split this up into parts, and I think I'm going to try and do more of my tutorials like this because I believe you guys get a little bit more value out of it, and it's also easier for me to explain these things in parts sometimes instead of making short videos and trying to cram everything into them. Anyways, on to today's design. We're using the koi fish that we drew in last week's video. If you haven't seen it yet, I've left a link in the description down below. Go check it out. We cover the body structure for the koi fish, and we also cover how to do the curved scales, which is something that was very popular and highly requested. So in terms of doing backgrounds, there's so many different ways to do them, and you can do them in a really traditional way with solid black backgrounds, as in like big bars of black. It's not really my favorite way to do things though. I kind of like to have a little bit more going on in the background and make it a little bit more dynamic. So what we're going to do is put in some really basic sort of wave areas or wave structures, and then we'll build upon them. And I'd also like to throw in a lotus flower. So I think just to start off with, I'm going to map a few things out. Our lotus flower will sit in this space that we have up here, so that we can have the petals of the lotus flower flowing off and down from that corner, and that creates a nice focal point that sort of draws down through to the front of the design, so that your eye sort of follows it through from the top right down to the bottom corner. In terms of putting in some wave bars, what I'm going to do is have some of these waves overlapping our fin down here. So coming from behind the body, you're going to draw a line that cuts across the fin, like this, and then just sweep it out. So it's going to come across over the top of the fin, have this little loop bit, and then come out real smoothly out towards the bottom. And I might even put another one in just behind that. And you want to keep these varied a little bit. So this one's going to be a little bit longer in the first sort of part of the loop. And then when it comes out, it's actually going to spread a little bit more. Like that. You just want to vary these shapes a little bit. You don't want to have them too similar, because it takes away the look of randomness that you'd have with water. It gets rid of that organic sort of look. Okay, so from here, I'm just going to throw in a couple more lines, curved lines, to indicate more sort of flowing water over the front of our fin there. And from here, we're going to start putting in the first little wave area, the first little bunch of waves. So I'm going to start here. If you haven't drawn waves before, finger waves, I do have a tutorial on my channel for finger waves. You can head over and check that out if you're having trouble with your finger waves. But basically we're drawing little C shapes or elongated C shapes and curves to create our waves. So I want to do this area is primarily as waves, but I want to have a really organic sort of rushing, clashing water sort of look. So I'm going to have one wave set coming down a little bit over this fin, so we'll put in a little one there, and I might bring this one all the way around, so we'll do a nice big wave like this, and then we'll just connect that up with more sort of rushing waves. So to make this sort of look random, we're going to have one set of waves coming down in this direction, and the next sort of set of waves will be going that way, and the next one will be going up. And this gives it that sort of random, you know, non-pattern, non-uniform look. So to show you that, we'll come down to like here maybe, and start drawing in some waves. Don't worry about connecting them at this stage, just draw them in. And this part is really, you know, this is really up to you. I wouldn't stress too much about trying to make this look exactly the way that I'm doing it. Just have fun with it. Play with your wave shapes. You know, have fun arranging them and making this look unique to your design. Like I said, I wouldn't stress too much about making this look exactly the way that I'm doing it. Okay, so a little close up on our waves here. We're going to do the last little set of waves here, and you'll sort of begin to see how it all comes together and why it's important to sort of have that structure there. So we're going to come around our tail. So these waves actually overlap on top of our tail. Don't worry too much about going over your sketch. It'll all come together in the inking phase of this drawing. So right now we're just drawing on top of our initial sketch. And just draw your little wave shapes in. Finish this one off with a loop. And this loop is just going to go off the page like that. From behind our wave set as well, might do another line. And just like this. And that way you have these waves that actually flow down and crash against the tail. And they're crashing in all these different directions to create that look of sort of chaos and randomness of the waves themselves. So from just underneath these waves that we just drew, I want to put in some sort of, I'm not sure what you call them, I guess wave bars, or these are sort of like bits of water that have shot out and are bouncing off something. Like a little stream of water or something like that. So I want to have a couple of these coming out from behind these waves. We're going to do one like this, and you just double up on that line and taper it out a little bit. And I'll have the second one coming from just behind here. We'll taper it out a little bit. And you know what, why not? Let's do something a bit tricky and make one that's bouncing off the head or the shoulder of our koi fish. So I want to put in one right about here. Now I'm just going to erase this a little bit to make it a bit easier for you guys to see. So I'm going to put in from just behind our dorsal fin here, these two lines that come down, just like we did these. And they're going to come down onto the back of our koi fish. And where they meet the koi fish body, we're going to draw in a really small set of wave splashes. Just a little one, like this. And that. So a little set of splashes, and then from this we're going to draw off to the side here, or off to an angle, a curved line down, and another one paralleling that. And you can just erase what's in between it to make things a bit clearer. And so you can see now what you've got is this little stream of water, just like these ones, that comes down onto the head of our koi fish, or onto the back of our koi fish, sorry, and then bounces off to the right. And that can be a nice little touch and just add a little bit of, you know, more character to your design, more dimension to your design. This is what I'm trying to show you guys, and this is what we try and incorporate into these designs, is a lot of detail through these little elements, and just the little things is what makes the difference. The bigger areas and that obviously matter, the background areas, but it's these little details, in my opinion, that make the artwork special. Okay, so coming down to this corner just underneath the head here, we're going to do some more wave shapes. I'm actually going to do two sort of rows of waves. So we're going to do one little one here and a bigger one underneath it. So to do that, we're going to just loop around and do a small wave like this. And from there, you just build on it as you normally would. And underneath this, you're going to do another row of waves that touches the edge of this wave here. So we're going to come out like this, and back around. And then from there, we can bring our waves around like this. I actually want to make that one a little bit longer, so I might do it from the other end. Just like that. Make things a bit easier. So we're actually going to take this last one and just curve it off the page like that. And from underneath this set of waves, you're going to do a line that follows it. So now it looks like the water's flowing in this way and crashing back on itself like that. And you're also going to have a line that comes here underneath this fin and out off the edge of the page as well. So now we've got the water coming in from this direction and crashing into the side of our fish there. Okay, so to go along with this, there's going to be some waves around the right side of the body here. You want to have waves that go in different directions. You don't want them going all in the one direction. So the waves that are closer to the dorsal fin up here are going to be crashing in this direction. And the ones closer to the bottom of where the head is and this front fin down here are going to be crashing in the other direction. So I'm actually going to draw a little bit of waves, a little bit of the waves overlapping our fin. Not too much. The fin, this fin's quite covered. This one we want to stand out a little bit more because we have covered up that other fin. So, and just bring your waves around like this. You know, once you've learned how to draw waves, they're actually a lot of fun to draw, and you just go crazy and fill up a whole sketchbook with wave patterns and wave designs, and just draw waves all the time. It's actually a lot of fun to do, and makes your designs look really cool once you sort of get used to drawing them. So we'll just bring that down and touch it back to the body. So we've done in a little set of waves. You can see I've left this gap here, and that's because I'd like to do another trail line that just comes off the page like that. Okay, so to do the waves that are above this, we're going to have some of them overlapping and crashing over the body. So we're going to come up just a little bit from where we were and do our waves over the top of the body. Now you don't want these to cover the body too much, but you do want a nice overlap. If you cover the body too much, you lose all your detail, and you know, you lose your whole koi fish, which is the primary subject matter of the design. But yeah, you also, you know, you want to have enough wave coverage on there as well to look good. So my sort of recommendation for that, and you know, not over or underdoing it with your waves, would be not to put any waves over the top, directly over the top of your dorsal fin. If you're going to cover some of the fins, don't cover the other fins. Just things like that. If you're covering some of the tail, don't cover the rest of the tail. I think it's an easy way to balance it out. There's obviously other ways to do it. Every artist is going to have their preference and their way of doing it. I would say that is sort of my way of looking at it, is just make sure you're not overdoing coverage. And, you know, to do that, basically make sure that, you know, if you're covering one element of the design, leave the other side open. Let it breathe. So we're just coming around here, throwing in some more wave patterns. So these ones crashed over the body, and then they're sort of crashing back a little bit on themselves. And at this point, you're going to stop and bring it back around again. Now you can see that there's this sort of awkward gap between these two lines. So I'm just going to bring up another sort of connecting line that just adds another flow of water that joins up into the design, and you'll see shortly how we're going to integrate all of that. Okay, so we're up to this corner now. I want to put in a lotus flower there, but at the same time we need to sort of figure out the flow of the water for this sort of section. So what we're actually going to do is imagine a cross stream of water that goes underneath the fish, over this wave, over this fin, and out to the front. So we've already drawn these lines that come down over the top of the fin and out like this. We're going to have these lines go underneath our fish and back up through the design. And to do that, it doesn't have to join up exactly because it's water, it's an organic thing. It doesn't need to be completely lined up. But we're just going to imagine that these lines come back underneath the fish and off the page like that. And the next one comes up See, I'm not happy with that one, so I just reshape it a little bit to my liking, and I might do another couple of lines like this that come down. And that's the thing, is if you have all these waves crashing around your fish, you know, have the areas around the waves a little bit simpler. You know, they don't have to be so congested with all these little elements and waves and things like that. Just above the tail here, we're also going to put in a little section of you know, crashing waves. So just bring them around same way you guys have been doing already. If you need to lay out all of your waves first too, there's no shame in doing that. So if you want to sketch all your waves in like we did in the wave tutorial, as in drawing them as little C shapes or little circles or something like that, if you find that more comfortable, there's certainly no shame in doing that. You go ahead and do that for all of your waves if you want to. It's just that when you reach a certain comfortability or a certain familiarity in drawing waves, you sort of tend not to need to do the sketch anymore. But that goes for everything, you know, like if you draw something enough times, you sort of don't need to do your under sketch as thoroughly. It's sort of like that blueprint part of the design is happening inside your brain as you're drawing, so you can sort of skip a few steps, and that's how to sort of get faster at drawing in a way. Okay guys, so in the top corner we're going to be doing our lotus flower. So to do that, I'm going to put in an oval. I have covered lotus flowers in a previous video, so if you haven't seen that yet, head over to my channel and watch that video where I cover the lotus flower, but I will run through it very quickly here. We're basically doing a little cone shape, and then on top of this you just draw in these little circles or ovals like this, and around the edges of these your lines are going to be sort of bumpy using little curves, and that's going to continue all around the edge at the top of your lotus bud here, or your lotus pod. We're always going to base the petals off the bottom of the pod here, so it might come out like this and back in a little bit. Double up on that so that there's a fold in there, and then we'll join them up like that. So there's these little folds in some of the petals as well. We'll do one coming off the other side as well. So I'm just drawing the basic shape for it first, which I guess will be like that. Like that. If you need to, for clarity's sake, like I've said, just erase the parts of your drawing that intersect with what you're doing. Just make sure you're happy with the part that you've just drawn, otherwise you'll erase it and now you'll be missing two parts of your drawing, so you know that's not ideal. And then I start to get a little bit more random with this with the petal arrangement from here. Those first sort of 3 or 4 petals are really crucial for me in making the design look good, and then from here you can get a little bit crazy and just have fun throwing in petals, trying to keep them sort of connected at the center point here as best as possible, but don't stress about that too much. It can be quite random. I would also recommend that some of your petals actually interact with your waves, so if you have them going underneath you know, your waves or over the top of your waves, then there's a nice interaction between the different background elements, and that can also make or break this sort of a design. Is if your background elements don't work together, so you've got flowers that are sitting completely stationary, they haven't moved, but you've got all these crazy crashing waves and wind bars and things like that, it doesn't look right. You know, it doesn't look chaotic as it should, or most of the background looks a bit chaotic as it should, and then you've got these flowers that are sitting there like nothing's happened to them. So you want to make sure that your background elements work together in that way. Alrighty, I think that's enough for the lotus flower, so we've put that up in the corner. I'm just going to draw the stem of the lotus flower coming down behind our dorsal fin here, behind our fish in total. And I want to put in some individual petals that are now flowing through our design, and this brings our eye from here to each of the petals and down to the front of the design. So we're going to start by putting one of the petals up in this corner to bring it sort of across. And you're also going to use this as a method to fill in gaps. You don't want too many gaps in your design because it will get really difficult later on to fill them with anything. So I try not to have too many gaps in my design. So I've got this big sort of flat area with nothing going on here. I might put in another wave like this or another water bar. And then we can come across and put in a nice big petal. And bring that down. And I kind of want to fill in this gap down the bottom here as well a little bit. So I might just put in another petal down here. Just put in another of these like little petal shapes, the teardrop shape sort of petals. Alrighty guys, so that's our background for today and the background elements. I think you can see that it brings the design together really nicely. You've got those little detailed elements like the water bouncing off the koi fish, the petals that sort of flow through our design, and you've got focal points. You've got one in the flower, which when you paint this or color it in, it'll be nice and bright. And then you sort of bring that down through to the head of the koi fish and this sort of front fin area of the koi fish. So you've got these focal points. I think the tail makes for a nice focal point as well. Okay guys, this is phase 2. Background and elements. That is it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope your artwork is coming along well. This week's viewer artist feature goes to Jonas Gustafsson, who sent me this really good koi fish drawing that he's done. He's followed my tutorial perfectly and his koi fish is looking really cool. I'm really excited to see what he does with the background, and I'm excited to see how he finishes this one up. If you want to see your artwork featured on my channel, head over to Facebook at Daggett Designs and send me a DM with a picture of your artwork that you've made from one of my tutorials. If you want some feedback, that's the place to get it, and you may be featured in one of my YouTube videos. Please leave me a comment in the comment section down below, letting me know what you'd like to see next time, or if you'd like me to cover any specific topics or tutorials, let me know in the comments down below. And most of all, guys, if you are new to my channel, hit the subscribe button down below and the notification bell so you don't miss a thing. Alright guys, I'll see you next time. Bye.